All right. Next list of questions. I'm going to read all of these first because I'm going to make some summary comments around all of them. This is all from the same source. This is all from the same human body. Are there things I could be doing to maximize my Facebook page? I feel like either no one is seeing my beep besides my family. The people who like the page actually don't give a beep about what I post for the most part. Some combination of one and two. I'm going to come back and answer some of these in depth. How do I know when it's time or if I'm ready or if I need to create an online program? Do I just need to beep and write this book and trust that things will unfold from there? Do you listen to podcasts similar to IG to build relationships? More ways to get into conversations with more people. Leaving my house might help. Ways to grow my list, increase reach of influence. I feel like I could be playing bigger than I am playing, and the story I'm telling myself is I don't know how. I feel like I have a valuable message and a solid seeker. I've got to find more places where she is. Do you recommend I use my Facebook stalking to see what and whom my seeker follows? That feels like a good idea. Let me know. How do I properly tag my YouTube videos? Is there a specific tutorial you recommend? I checked out a couple, and while I know that I hadn't done nearly enough of any sort of accurate tracking, I don't know that I was using them properly. So with these new videos, I haven't tracked at all. All right. So first of all, these are all really valid questions because they are very common questions for a lot of people. My summary comment, I don't know if I'll have more than one, is that so much of this seeking, and I'm talking about in these questions, not referring to your seeker, so many of these questions and so many elements inside the questions are demanding something vague and or unknowable. So there's a lot of more type questions in here. How do I find more? I could be playing bigger than I'm playing, but I don't know how. Well, one of the reasons you don't know how is because bigger is undefined. It doesn't mean anything. And I'm positive if I were to say, what's your level of big right now that you're playing, you won't have a measurable assessment that you came to the conversation with. Now, we might try to unpack that and see if we can create that. But if you don't have a current assessment, doing more means literally nothing because we don't even know where we're starting and we don't know when we would satisfy this vague idea of more or bigger. So a lot of these questions are they have that kind of, I'm trying to go back to the previous slides. The first question is pretty clear. What could I be doing to maximize the Facebook page? So it still has somewhat of an element of more to it, but it's more clear because it's asking strategy questions. But like this question, when do I know if it's time or when I'm ready or if I need to? None of those are definable. So you're demanding an intellectual answer to something that is literally impossible for the intellect to ever know, because you're asking some form of predicting the future, right? Because inside the energy of these questions that most of us are asking, these types of questions, it's so that I can be right, so that I succeed, so that I do the right thing. So how do I know when it's the right time? Unknowable. How do I know if I'm ready? Unknowable. How do I know if I need to create an online program which is going to produce some kind of future results that are going to be the right results? Unknowable. Now, there are versions of these questions that don't fit into exactly what I said, like, an online program, when do I need to create it in terms of my process? So maybe the process is, you mentioned book, write a book, then do an online program, and then do a live event. And I know there's an element of that in this question, but the bigger juice of these questions are really, how can I know that I'm doing the right thing, right? So having said that, they are valuable questions, and I do want to address some of them. Facebook page. Facebook has squeezed everybody because Facebook is a public company trying to make as much money as it possibly can. So Facebook used a business model of create a platform, get people used to the platform, make it valuable for them, and then make them pay for it. So 5 years ago, 7 years ago, Facebook was easy to use. You put up a post and everybody would see it. And now you have to pay for almost anybody to see anything. Depending on what you read and pay attention to, I've heard that if you make a post on Facebook, like 5% of your friends, this is like a personal page, 5% of your friends will see it. And if you make a post on a business page, it's less. Now, they're going to squeeze the business pages because you have to pay to sponsor your posts. And it's all intentional. Facebook is in the business of making money. And they did it a certain way. They got people really used to it and loving it. And then they have to pay for what they've already experienced. The problem for us is that we're dealing with algorithms. We're dealing with automated systems. We can't control what Facebook does with our posts. I am not up to date with a lot of the things that we can do to increase engagement. One of the things that I did hear not too long ago is that if you post a link that's not a Facebook link, Facebook will not give you very much visibility. Because why would they, like for instance, YouTube, if you make a YouTube video and you want to share it with people and you post the link in the post, Facebook doesn't want people to go to YouTube. They're not the same company. Google wants people to go to YouTube. Google owns YouTube. And YouTube doesn't have a problem sending people to Google. But Facebook and YouTube are not friends. So if you post a link to YouTube, Facebook is not inclined to show that to a bunch of people because there's more of a chance that people leave Facebook. And then one of the things that's happened recently is if you click on those links, you'll notice that they take you to YouTube, but you're still on Facebook. It opens up like a window, and you actually have to get out of Facebook if you want to open up your app on your phone, or if you actually want to open up the website. So there are things that Facebook does that intentionally makes it hard for us to be seen. Now, Facebook wants engagement and people to be on their platform. So what Facebook loves is people who comment on your posts. And you've probably seen people post things like, Facebook's only showing my post to a certain number of people. So if you want to keep seeing my post, comment on this post. They're trying to manipulate the algorithm so that if I see a certain post by Jack Canfield and I always like the post, Facebook will keep showing me Jack Canfield posts because I keep liking them, and Facebook wants that engagement. So from a visibility standpoint, how can we increase our visibility? How can we increase our engagement? The more people that comment on our posts, the more likely it is that they'll keep seeing it. And I'm sure you all have people, you see every single one of their posts because you always engage in it. So it's a guaranteed slam dunk for Facebook to show you those posts if they know you're going to engage in it based on data. But they will stop showing you posts if you no longer engage in it. So you might go on to Facebook or Instagram and think it's just so crowded. Just imagine what's actually being put up on Facebook that you don't even see. Facebook is determining what you see. And so if we give Facebook a post of ours and we say, please show this to people, Facebook's going to need engagement for it to keep doing it. And that's why you might only see your family engaging on the post. So what you do with that, it's similar to what I said about your email list. Get more valuable. And of course, that's not just a flick of a switch and just go, oh, okay, I'm just going to be more valuable. And I'm not trying to say that you particularly or anybody is less valuable. I don't mean to sound demeaning, but that's actually the strategy. The strategy is to produce value in the customer's perspective or the prospect's perspective enough that they will give you a resource of theirs, which is time and attention and a comment and a like. Now, if you get onto Facebook Live or primarily Facebook Live and you start telling people, hey, put a 1 in the comments if you like life, right? Once upon a time, that was how people would manipulate the engagement because it knew if Facebook sees a lot of people posting on this, commenting on this video, it'll show it to more people. YouTube does it too. The way to get YouTube to show your videos to other people that are potentially interested is you have to prove to them that their video is going to be engaged in, which is likes and comments and shares. So if you just do the fake way or just the shallow way of everybody type in a 1 or like a lot of people are trying to make it really easy for people to just touch one thing instead of, hi, my name is so-and-so and this is where I'm from. When Facebook Live just came out, or even before that, when Periscope came out and live video was a novelty, people were just enthralled. They were just like, oh my goodness, I can see this person live and I can say things and watch, I can post something and all of a sudden she reads it. She sees it. Nobody cares about any of that stuff anymore. We're so over that. So now you have to produce so much value for me that I'm going to give you time out of my day that I could otherwise be distracted by a million other things. That's the nature of our society, online especially, right? So how can we produce value? How can we captivate people? One of the ways to captivate people is to enter a conversation in their head. That's why we have to study our seeker nowadays if we're going to get them to pay attention to anything that we do. We have to study the conversations that are in their head so that when they see the live video come up, they'll comment. Or when they see the post come up, they'll comment or they'll share. Now, another thing that creates sharing, I think, are two ends of the spectrum. Easy, entertaining, simple, safe things to share, such as memes and jokes and affirmations and picture quotes and things like that. Those are easy for people to go, oh, that's cute. I want to share that. Not a whole lot of deep engagement, but it gets a lot of shares. So then a lot of people try to chase those high quantity of shares, but the way to do it is to be entertaining and shallow. And that's not the people that you want to attract anyway. So don't go after the vanity engagement. Go after the real engagement. The other side, in my opinion, this is just my own assessment, that gets people to share is vulnerability. Stuff that's actually captivating to people and real. And there are so many spaces in between those two extremes. And most of those spaces, they're not funny enough or shallow enough or deep enough to get commented on and or shared. So most of us, we have to go the second route. We have to go the direction of us being so real and authentic and transparent and actually talking about the deep stuff that people go, whoa, that's good. People need to hear that. Now, there's a perpetual challenge there because, as I said at the beginning of this call, most people don't want what they need. So if you just vomit on people this truth and reality, and you need to handle your childhood trauma, and your parents are probably the problems, yeah, it might not get too many shares with that one. You might not get very many people that actually read that. So there's a perpetual, and I'm intentionally using the word perpetual because I want you to understand, once you figure this out, you're not done figuring this out. You might figure out how to get engagement with a marketing message this week, and next month or next week or tomorrow, you have to go through the same process. It's a perpetual challenge that we have. What do we say in order to get people engaged in a meaningful way, but not scare them, but also get them engaged enough that they don't just dismiss it? You know, that's a pretty small window there. And Michelle just typed in, and ask people for what you want. The more reason you give them, the better. Such as, like on my YouTube videos, what I've been saying lately is, if you have a question about this comment or this video, or if you want some help from my team, tell me who your seeker is, or tell me what you want to name your program, or tell me about your program if you want me to help you name it, and I'll respond. There's value in the comment, and I'm telling them that I'll support them. Or with YouTube videos, it could be just giving people an opportunity to be heard. And that could be, tell me which one of these things you disagree with, or which one of these left a lasting impact. If you give people specifics on what to do, it's much easier for them to do it. If you just say, comment on your video and comment on this video and tell me what you think, that's a vague invitation. But if you say, tell me what you've tried before to increase your email list that hasn't worked, immediately people know an answer to that, as long as it resonates with them. And then the question is, are they going to spend the time to comment? But they're definitely not going to spend the time to comment if they don't even have anything that immediately gets produced in their brain. So the more specific we can be, and the more reason we give them in terms of value, the more likely it will be that they share. And like in the video that I did about a month ago, one of the things that I said in the post after I did the video, that's one of the great things about Facebook, is you can just go edit the post afterwards to be in alignment with something that you said. I said, share this with any men that you think need to hear this. Immediately, people will think, my dad, my husband, my brother, my son. They will immediately think about people. Now, whether they shared it with them or not, more of them did not, but there's more of a likelihood, once they get the clarity, to then go ahead and do the action, than for us to hope they're going to do the action without giving them the sense of clarity. So the more reason you give, the better. Jeff says it's hard to reach people in the matrix. So true. So true. And so engagement is everything. Maybe not everything, but it's super, super important. How can we engage people? How do I know when it's time, if I'm ready, if I need to create an online program? I'm going to pause on that one, because that's going to be a personal answer for pretty much everybody. You know, when it's time, we could be talking about personal circumstances, like somebody might be pregnant, or somebody might be dealing with a cancer diagnosis recently. Somebody might have just been dealing with a death in the family, or somebody might be getting ready to move. So it could be circumstantial things that are considerations on the calendar. It could be just when I'm ready to birth this message that I have. So there's a lot of different elements inside there, as far as time and being ready, and then needing to create an online program. You know, first of all, well, yeah, I mean, the words of your question is if I need to create, and then if I need to create, then when do I create it? And if I am going to do that, then what do I create and how do I deliver and how do I sell it? And so there's a lot of considerations on the back end of that. Although I know you didn't ask any of those things, but I'm going to table this conversation because it's a little bit too much of a personal conversation for me to want to address it right now. Because if I did, it would take 45 minutes to give all the different, I'd have like a flow chart. So if you have a job, then and you have a business, then go here. And if you have a job but don't have a business, then go there. If you're doing this full time, then go here. Like there's so many of those kinds of variables involved in the answer. But if you type 1 in the comment right now and share this with 3 people, I might answer your question.